Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is Mustafa Ahmed. So today I'm going to talk about 7 qualities about the helpers and why Allah has chosen specific people to believe in Muhammad Qasim's dream and carry out this task. So, from my understanding and from what I realized in talking to other helpers, there's 7 qualities that very specific people have, and all these helpers usually have, right? So, the first one is just believing the unseen, right? So, just believe in the other realm, right? And Allah, the angels, the jinns, all that stuff. So, with that being said, as well, right? A very important factor, at least I learned in business, and I don't know why I learned it. The business people have it, but yet they don't transfer it to the religion aspect or the religion text, right? Which is a lot of people, the way they operate is when I see it, I'll believe it, right? However, in business, you're taught you're supposed to believe it, then you'll see it, right? Trust in the process, right? Then this goes the same thing as Muslims, right? We trust that Allah is going to grant us Jannah, right? If I go through the process and I follow the certain guidelines that Allah has put. That's what makes us Muslim, right? Because we submit to the will of Allah before we see the reward. Or also, if we see the reward, everybody will be Muslim. It's simple. There's no decisive factor. Number two is husn done, right? It's very important. I think this is probably the key quality that unites all the believers is that you just have a good attitude to your other fellow Muslim brothers and sisters and just any human in the world, right? So you're not thinking evil or malice towards anybody, right? That everybody has some type of good to offer, and yet they're not there yet, or maybe I'm seeing it wrong, right? So we don't look down or belittle somebody because they might not be at the level we're at, or um, that we've been gifted with certain specific things. Allah has blessed us in our path, and yet we try to help and we want to share that gift with others, right? So that's the key thing. And as a Muslim, I think that's the most beautiful thing. I think usually the Christians and the Muslims have this, right? Where the Muslims want to share the religion, right? We want to spread it, right? Unlike the Yahudi, they think no, khalas, Allah has chosen specific people. We're the chosen one of God, and that's it. Nobody else can join this party, right? Which is kind of sad. Uh, then trying to become a better Muslim. That's the third point, right? Trying to become a better Muslim. So nobody's perfect, right? And the helpers that, as I'm speaking about myself, first of all, it's I'm not a scholar. I'm not somebody who memorized the whole Quran, right? But the problem is that I'm not content with where I am. I'm always striving to learn and try to become better, right? So that's the key thing. We're always trying to improve, right? Because there are a lot of people who are not scholars that have believed, right? So it's just a blessing and a miracle from Allah. Number four is how that it's humble yourself and humility, right? So to be humble and have humility and realize that we've been given a specific blessing, and we want others to have that blessing, right? We want all the Muslims to have that blessing, the same thing, right? To see that the signs have been met, right? And there is a point that things are about to start changing. Realize Allah's promise is true, right? So I think this is also very important. So as number five, knowing that when Allah says something, that is true. For example, when Allah says that He will indeed give victory to all His messengers, right? So if from you have in the chapter from chapter 10 all the way to chapter 20 of the Quran, Allah talks about Yunus, Hud, all these prophets, right? That are messengers. And the key factor for all the messengers is that Allah ultimately gives them victory, right? So Allah gives Ibrahim alayhi salam victory. He gives all these messengers victory. However, the only messenger that has not been given victory is Prophet Isa alayhi salam. So us, we believe that Isa ultimately is going to come back and he's going to spread the true Islam all over the world, right? Alongside with the Mahdi. Therefore, right, knowing that Allah's promise is true. When Allah says something, it's true, right? You have other factions that say, "Oh, we killed Isa alayhi salam," right? So, and that's not the case, right? Even though in reality it might look like that, but no, we don't follow what we think or what the actual physical world tells us. We follow what Allah says. Period. Right. So when Allah says, "I promise you Jannah to the believers, and I promise a day of judgment is gonna happen," know that that's true, right? Versus you have the atheists who don't care about it and know that they don't believe it, right? Number six, endure trials with patience, right? So this part of the video I want to talk about strictly to the helpers of Muhammad Qasim. It's this big part where we're in. We're still probably in phase two, right? And there's four phases, and this is more of a test than anything for us, right? So Allah's kind of changing us and training us to the bigger stuff that's going to happen. So if the calamities will start falling one after another soon, right? And the door of mercy opens soon, and we're not ready, right? This part is good. We're gonna be destroyed. Period. Like I don't think I'm talking about myself first that we're ready for this stuff to happen, and Allah knows. Allah knows when we'll be ready, and He'll open the door exactly when He need the perfect time, right? Then we have been waiting for, and we've been patient because it's amongst us. There's going to be people who already left, and there's going to be more people who will leave, right? And we ask Allah that He blesses us to be steadfast in this noble work that we're doing. So it is very important that we realize that being patient is a key factor to all of this, right? Indeed, the Allah says, right, in Surah Fussilat, right, لا يلقاها إلا الصابرون, right? لا يلقاها, right? So they would truly, nobody would attain it except those who have patience, right? And in this context, he's talking about Jannah and seeing the angels, right, come to him after death with good news, right? And that's the biggest thing is just to have patience, right? Because Allah's plan is going to happen. He operates in a different time frame than us, right? We can't want Allah's plan to happen before it's coming, right? Because all the pieces have to be put in together exactly at the right time and right place, and Allah knows He's the best of planners, right? And we got to trust that process. So once that process happens, then officially that will take fold, right? And we'll start seeing all those miracles that He promised, right? And Allah promised a lot of miracles to bring Pakistan from humility, right, and dishonor to honor, right, and the greatest country and spreading it all over the world, right. If you look at it and take it based on the physical context, no, you sure? Oh, Israel has to win. Oh, U.S. has to win because they're the strong countries, but that's not the reality, right? And number seven, right, which I think it's the number one factor, because I said number two was the number one factor, husn done, having thinking good of others, but I also think this is also the number one factor I think all the believers and all the helpers share, especially with this, is that we're not happy with the situation of Islam right now, and we want better for that. We're not happy being an Egyptian Muslim. I'm not happy being American Muslim and seeing the world state and just be content with my little community, my little bubble, and going to the masjid, do my prayers, and not worrying about what's going on in Palestine, not worrying about what's going on in Kashmir or China or Chechen, all these other countries that are going through all these problems, right? And I'm just happy with my situation because I'm content. No, the biggest thing is that we want to see change, right? We don't want the system that we have now, and we want Allah's system to be established in the world, right? We we want as Muslims to have all Islam all over the world, right? Because it is a gift that we've been blessed as Islam, and we care for our other brothers and sisters of all humanity to have that gift, right? For this world has been corrupted completely, and Shaitan is he has a very good grasp, and he knows that his time is about to come to an end, right? So he is working harder than ever, and he's promising his people this world, right? And Allah's promising us the next world. And He's promised us Jannah, right? And for them is Jahannam. So I ask that we all be granted Jannah, inshallah. I ask that we stay steadfast. I ask that anybody who is inquiring who Muhammad Qasim is to look in the description. I'll put it in a link to him. And really start paying attention and really be doing the work, right? Because we got to do the work before the signs happen. And it's beautiful. This sums it up too, because today Muhammad Qasim had a beautiful dream that's saying that people are waiting, some helpers are waiting for the signs, right? They want a sign before they do work, right? That's not the attitude we're supposed to have. We're supposed to do the work first, and the signs will come, right? Believe Allah's promise, right? And then the fruits, right, will come, right? Look, if you look at the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, they worked hard before they started seeing any miracles, right? Most of them started seeing miracles after. Some saw before, and that's a blessing, right? Some seeing the dreams, saying, "Hey, yo, Muhammad Qasim is the truth," and there's a lot of them like that. Others haven't, right? I'm one who has it, and there's no shame in that. But we also been given hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that all the description match, right? And we want to see Islam established all over the world, right? We want to see the Muslim Ummah have izzah like it used to have, right? And it's our job to play our small part in it for whatever reason. Now, I don't know what our greater role is, but we have to do our part, right? And maybe our part might help somebody that is better than us establish something more prominent than us, or guide them to the path which they can do more than us. For example, right, we have the story of Umar ibn al-Khattab, who was guided eventually to Islam, and look what he made it afterwards, right? So with that being said, I say wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Until next time, inshallah.